They say the internet is never asleep, and this week, it's fully awake. The streets of social media are humming. The timelines are on fire. Yandy Smith Harris is a well-known name. A weird audio recording has been making its rounds, with whisperers alleging it contains none other than her husband Mendeecees in a conversation that, let's just say, raises a lot of questions. Before you think about it, we're not here to tell you if it's true or not, but the discussion, supposition, and sheer amount of shade being slung, that is impossible to ignore. And just when fans thought the love and hip-hop power duo was unbreakable, allegations surfaced on Tasha K's radar, escalating the drama. Yandy isn't taking it quietly. Cameras captured her emotions. Voices have been raised. The tension is thick enough to be cut with a knife. What exactly was mentioned on that audio? Why is Tasha K involved? And more significantly, how does Yandy deal with the demand to stick around? Because this story is messier than a season-ending cliffhanger, and we are diving right in. The story begins in the peculiar in-between region where online gossip intersects with intimate reality. Yandy had been following her typical routine, posting hand-picked images, interacting with fans, and showcasing moments from her enterprises. Then, like a spark hitting the dried leaves, the audio appeared. It wasn't initially released by a mainstream outlet, but rather by a weird social media account that feeds on late-night tea and half-verified whispers, but the video went viral faster than anyone expected. Voices could be heard, laughter combined with casual but provocative comments. For some, the male voice conveyed a familiar tone. People began incessantly tagging Yandy, demanding answers before she had time to prepare. Fans who have following her in Mans for years through TV dramas and real-life challenges, they found themselves arguing loyalty, trust, and what goes on behind closed doors. Some were sure that the voice in the video was his. Others suggested that the audio could be manipulated. With each repost, the border between fact and entertainment became increasingly blurred. Yandy, according to people close to her, did not respond with outrage at first. She remained silent in public, glancing through her phone while notifications flowed in. Her friends, on the other hand, report that she was stiff and had a tight mouth. Her fingers tapped the table in the same way she does when she's working on an issue. She was familiar enough with the media cycle to understand that silence could be misinterpreted as guilt, but she was also aware that rushing to make a comment could create its own storm. Somewhere between the deliberate pause and personal Tasha K's name popped up. Tasha K, known for turning web incidents into explosive narratives, apparently cited the audio during one of her episodes. She didn't directly disclose anything, but her tone conveyed the type of weight that makes people lean in. With her large readership, the conversation that began in small online groups quickly became the topic of the week. Fans began studying every frame of old films, every photo, and every public appearance of Yandy and Mendeecees, looking for signals of problems that they had overlooked. One particularly popular comment said, "You can tell, something's odd. Go back to the interview last month. She wouldn't even look at him when he spoke." Others began linking occasions from the show where conflicts were captured on camera and framing them as hints leading up to this exact moment. It was just guesswork, but the tone had been set. The pair became the everyone sought a front row seat in the midst of an intense storm. While the internet debated, Yandy ultimately broke her silence during a sit-down chat with Kendra and another co-host of a prominent podcast. The atmosphere was tense but polished, the kind of setting where you could tell both sides, no, this will be replayed endlessly. Kendra leaned in, her voice calm but probing, and asked the question everyone wanted to hear. Was any of it true? Yandy did not flinch. She didn't deflect or laugh it off. She just said no, but it wasn't a long-winded no, it was a forceful dismissal accompanied by an almost annoyed look at the table. She seemed bored of making the same allegations. With various language, Kendra's co-host went on to say that many online believed it was Mendeecees' voice in the tape. The moment hung heavily. Yandy looked up, her tone steady but colder than before, and explained that people hear what they want to hear. She highlighted how the internet likes to link dots that don't exist. Then, almost as if she'd decided the subject was beneath her, she switched to lighter topics about a new clothing line, brushing off the anxiety as if it were lint from her jacket. Meanwhile, Mendeecees wasn't entirely silent throughout all of this. However, he did not rush to every platform to clear his name. In fragments from the same chat, he addressed the subject with a combination of levity and skepticism. He claimed he didn't know the folks in question. The entire situation was a case of people being bored and making up stories. His speech was informal, almost too casual for some, which fueled the internet split. Half believe him, half I was persuaded that the nonchalance was a disguise. Friends of the couple who spoke on the record claimed the two were already stressed from juggling family life, business interests, and the continual draw of the spotlight. Every minor quarrel was exaggerated under public scrutiny, and the current wave of gossip was only further fuel on the fire. Those close to them saw that Yandy had recently become more protective, keeping her inner circle even closer, while Mendeecees felt determined to continue as if nothing was wrong. The podcast moment, however, did not dampen the conjecture. Indeed, bits from it were hacked up and rearranged online, with dramatic captions, and slow-motion edits make them appear much more severe. People studied Yandy's body language, Mendeecees' choice of words, and even the minor smirks and sighs captured on camera. Some claimed I saw pain in her eyes, others felt she appeared to have accepted the truth and made peace with it. It was all interpretation, but it contributed to the underlying idea that something bigger was going on behind the scenes. Fans were not the only ones who reacted. A number of their reality TV castmates weighed in on social media, with some providing support and others making hazy claims about knowing the true story. These tiny crumbs triggered the gossip cycle into overdrive. Every ambiguous emoji and repeated meme was considered as a clue in a mystery that may never be solved. As the days went by, the pair they began to appear together in public again, attending events and posing for photos. To casual spectators, they appeared as coordinated as ever, smiling for the cameras and moving in unison. But those who were following the drama noticed. Yandy's grins appeared shorter. Mendeecees maintained a little greater physical distance than normal. Whether it was a coincidence or anything more, it provided fuel to both sides of this as an ongoing debate. Then came a tiny but noticeable shift. Yandy began posting more motivating captions on her social media, the ones that talk about recognizing your worth, keeping your peace, and not letting outside sounds distract you from your goal. While these may have easily been general remarks, in the current atmosphere, fans saw them as indirect reactions to the claims, with comments ranging from individuals supporting her on to those wanting greater transparency. The situation had reached a peculiar point where the actual facts were less important than how they were being performed. Every move, post, and public appearance was part of a bigger story. Yandy and Mandy appeared to have lost control of it. However, beneath the polished responses and public grins, there were reports of more intense interactions taking place away from the cameras. Moments when voices were raised and insults flew without regard for diplomacy. And just as the discourse appeared to be settling into a familiar back and forth of denial and speculation, a new layer was added, shifting the dynamic yet more. The latest development did not stem from a statement or an interview, but from another bit of audio that appeared online. This time, it was less polished than the initial leak. The audio quality was poor, with subtle background noise that made it feel like a private moment captured without permission. Voices could be heard, but the context was difficult to understand. Still, the internet does not wait for complete clarity. The second clip was accompanied by captions suggesting it showed the original one was genuine. It made little difference if it did or not because it spread so quickly within hours. It was everywhere. This one stood out because it included undertones of a female voice alongside the male voice. People immediately began guessing about who she might be. Was she a stranger? Anyone from the past? Perhaps someone more closer to the pair than anyone would like to admit? Theories flew wildly, each one more elaborate than the last. Hashtags began trending, not just with Yandy's name, but also with coded references to probable third parties. It was anarchy, and any influencer with a gossip channel wanted in. The panel wanted in. Yandy, for her part, didn't immediately respond to the second leak. Instead, she shared a selfie of herself looking unconcerned, wearing sunglasses inside, and sipping tea. The message simply stated, "Stay blessed." Depending on the viewer's mindset, the post might be seen as either peace or shade. And in the comments, attitudes ranged from fervent support to blatant accusations. During a live stream with a close friend, Yandy finally broke her silence. She claimed she's going to spend her life defending herself against every slander, and altered clip. She referred to the disclosures as created turmoil and accused specific people of profiting from her reputation. Even though she didn't openly mention Tasha K this time, the message was clear. Fans captured the moment and shared it across platforms, presenting it as her most direct clapback yet. Mendeecees followed a slightly different strategy. He appeared on a separate podcast, speaking in a more comfortable tone and seemingly laughed off the issue. He argued that the voice on the tape was not his, and that anyone who knew him well could tell. When asked about the female voice in the second video, he evaded, saying, "People will believe whatever they want to believe, and there's no point trying to convince them otherwise." This nonchalant dismissive irritated some viewers. They desired fire, indignation, or at least evident frustration. Instead, they got a man who appeared to be calm despite the accusations swirling about him behind the scenes. Friends said that the couple had more passionate chats. According to someone in their group, Yandy had been advocating for a more forceful public defense, although Mans believed it was best to let the hubbub die down on its own. This divergence in strategy apparently resulted in a few difficult nights, with both accusing the other of not knowing how to manage the problem. According to one buddy, the frustration stemmed from more than simply the claims, was about the power the internet seems to have over them. Personal lives. Fans paying careful attention began to notice patterns in their social media behaviors, and he began like more postings about standing firm in truth and keeping the peace. Mendeecees, on the other side, appeared in a few tagged images with friends, smiling at events and acting as if nothing had happened. The discrepancy in public energy became a topic of discussion. People disputed if it represented a couple united in private but managing the storm differently, or if it revealed a deeper divide. Then came the unexpected twist. A third party who claimed to have been at the place when the original audio was taken went public on social media. Their story was disjointed, fragmentary, and riddled with gaps. However, the sections that were clear created a confusing picture. They argued that the audio was taken out of context. The talk was easygoing, with nothing romantic or shocking about it. They did not explicitly defend Mendeecees, but the account of events presented just enough reasonable doubt for some supporters to reconsider their position. Others interpreted this as simply damage control by the couple's team. The live video from this supposed witness sparked a new round of debate online. People started breaking apart their story, comparing it to the original clip, and strangers argued over every word and tone in the comments area. Some slowed down the audio, while others increased it, each attempting to prove their theory. Yandy did not immediately respond to the new release, although Mendeecees did write something clearly mentioning the leaks. In a short video recorded in his automobile, he stated, "You can clip anything to make it sound people want a controversy, and if they can't find one, they'll make one." His tone was measured, but the little chuckle at the end was enough to rekindle the conversation. Some interpreted it as confidence, while others perceived it as arrogance. Meanwhile, Tasha K appeared in a live session with a fellow blogger, implying that she had received even more damning content, but was choosing how to handle it. She described the situation as multiple layers deep, implying that people close to the marriage had been supplying information for years. This reignited theories of treachery from within their circle. It wasn't simply the couple vs. the internet. It was about who in their lives could be working against them. The prospect of an insider leak set the fans on fire. Old grudges and rivalries from previous seasons of their program were brought back to the forefront. People began pointing fingers at individual former friends and cast members, poring over prior social media conversations for clues. Every like on a shady post or absence at a birthday party, suddenly perceived as a probable evidence of disloyalty. Yandy, possibly understanding how swiftly the narrative was unraveling, chose to confront the betrayal rumors head-on. In another live broadcast, she stated, "I've had people smile in my face and still try to break me behind my back. That's life. But I promise you, God don't like ugly." The message was vague enough she would not identify anyone, but she was clear that someone close to her had crossed a line. It was an emotional moment, with her speech steady but her eyes more focused than normal. Fans cut and shared it with messages about loyalty. There are also snakes. Mendeecees, on the other hand, continued his less is more strategy. He stopped conducting interviews and concentrated his public posts on work and family. He was spotted enjoying a charity basketball game, laughing with friends as if unaffected by the storm. This difference in public behavior between the two only fostered conjecture about whether they were truly on the same page. Then came the twist. No one expected a direct message breach. Screenshots of reported messages between Mendeecees and an anonymous lady started surfacing. The texts were not directly incriminating, but they did have suggestive undertones that sparked interest. The screenshots' legitimacy was instantly questioned, but that did not stop them from spreading like wildfire. Gossip blogs presented them as the missing connection between the audio and the rumors, and fans quickly connected the dots in their own ways. They have their own ways. Yandy's reaction to the DM leak was subtle yet telling. She shared a photo of her hand resting on a closed journal with the caption, "Some things ain't for the internet." It was cryptic enough to elicit countless interpretations. Some assumed she was implying that she knew more than she was saying. Others interpreted it as a message to her husband, warning that her patience had limitations. According to sources, tensions were rising behind the scenes. While neither had confirmed the screenshot's authenticity, the constant flow of new evidence was wearing on them. One insider described it as a game of emotional whiplash. One they'd laugh it off together one moment, then argue about why the other wasn't doing more to stop it. Meanwhile, Tasha K released a teaser video featuring a blurred figure who she claimed was ready to speak on camera about the situation. The teaser promised details that the public has yet to hear and set a release date for the full interview. Fans marked their calendars with great anticipation. In the comments, people speculated wildly about who the mystery is. Person might be a former friend, an ex, or even someone from within the production team of their show. The couple seemed to take different approaches to the looming interview. Yandy became more visible, attending events and posting behind-the-scenes content, always looking polished and composed. And on the other hand, appeared to withdraw further, skipping a few public appearances where he'd normally join her. This absence didn't go unnoticed, and the rumor mill spun faster, with theories about a silent separation beginning to take shape as the interview date approached. Smaller bloggers began releasing their own inside scoops, muddying the waters even more. One claimed the audio leak had nothing to do with infidelity and was part of a larger scheme to discredit the couple for business reasons. Another swore the woman's voice in the clip belonged to someone working on a charity project with Mendeecees. Each theory contradicted the last, but that didn't stop them from gaining traction. The night before the interview dropped, Yandy posted a short, emotionally charged video. She didn't mention the situation directly, but spoke about resilience, the importance of protecting your mental health and trusting that truth would eventually surface. Her tone was calm, but her eyes betrayed a mix of exhaustion and determination. It was the kind of message that could be read as a preemptive shield against whatever the interview might reveal. Mendeecees posted nothing that night. When the interview finally went live, it didn't just break the internet, it fractured it. The blurred-out figure revealed herself within the first 2 minutes. And to the shock of many viewers, she was someone who had once been in photos and videos with Yandy and Minds, a name the fandom